of wine and roses, laugh and run away like a child at play.
All right. That's a nice sound. We're live now. Hey, Bryan. We're listening to you. We're listening. You can't hear it, but that's the Days of Wine and Roses.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, that's a great recording.
I really had fun with that. That was a good.
That's a great one. That's very. Well, I got that on the air.
2006.
2006. That's from a release called Multicolored Blue.
Yes.
Right on.
Long time ago.
Yeah. So listen, everybody. This is my friend Bryan Clark is here with me live on Coastal A&E, broadcasting live from Browseabout Books. He's a very good friend, an amazing, talented entertainer, vocalist. I'm glad to have you here.
Good to be here.
Yeah. Hey, I'm sorry I missed your show last night.
Not a problem. Irish Eyes, that's not a problem.
That's all right.
Yeah.
We were trying to work out to get down there, and I just realized that it wasn't going to work out for me. But I had friends in the audience that were like, "Oh, you got to come get in there and check it out." I'm like, it's going to be the radio show tomorrow. You know,
it's good. I'm going to be in Rehoboth next Thursday. Cuvée Ray.
Cuvée Ray, that's
among
right.
Other places, but that one in particular is going to be first time at Cuvée Ray.
Is it your first time there?
Yes.
That's really good to know. So that is a special event there, Bryan. That's a dinner and a show event.
That's correct. All the information's on my website and theirs. I think it's $39 a ticket.
I think that's
my
right.
Wife
yeah. I think that's
sitting in here.
Yes, your lovely wife is here.
I looked at her because she knows details better than I do. Dina.
Studio audience here. Hello, Dina. How are you? We've met before, actually.
Now, who are those folks over there?
That's George Thomason, and that's my birthday friend, Holly Moscarin, who's visiting from D.C. Yes, it's our birthday today.
Who's that young man over there?
That's our board op, Sean.
Man, he looks important.
Yeah. Well, he just sits there quietly and makes sure everything works properly.
Look at all that equipment he has.
All that equipment. Well, you know it's like having equipment around you when you perform. I've been watching you perform for years. We first met, I want to say it's like 15 years ago. It's a long time ago, yeah. And that's when
you were at the
Rehoboth Beach Theater of the Arts, way back when. And we were getting shows together there, and I was sort of stage managing. I was assistant manager of the theater. I did a lot of the PR for that time. This is before it became Clear Space, after it became the church, somewhere in between, around that time period. And then, of course, you would start, and you perform in different venues around town. But you have such a huge audience of devotees. The last time I was at one of your shows, which I believe was this great day after Valentine's Day show at 1776.
Yes.
It was a lot of fun. It was very romantic. There was literally a group of women that drove down from New York specifically to see that show and to see you. And while we were there, a guy proposed to his fiancée on stage. It was like this wild romantic thing, and everybody loved it. You brought down the house.
Well, you're nice. You're kind. It was it was fun. It was fun. This area has been good. It's been good with the following, and what I like is that they respond to the American Songbook.
Yeah, so that is your forte.
Yes.
So for people that might be confused by that term, though I've had you on the show several times. We've talked about it. What is the Great American Songbook in a nutshell, and why is this something that you, as an artist, a vocal artist, focus on pretty much exclusively?
You know, I wish I could be better explaining what is the American Songbook. Someone more well-spoken and probably that has done more of their homework. But I would say to people, think of Tony Bennett, think of Nat King Cole, think of Frank Sinatra, who's my favorite. Think of those types of singers.
And the songs that their body of work.
They're known for, and you've got the American Songbook. I mean, they're the jazz standards. They're the standards. They never die. They never grow old. They're timeless. They're classy. You want to know what the lyrics are saying because they're well said, and the melodies were created by musicians who really produced melodies and not just a few notes that are just going over and over and over.
Sort of repetitive thing that are just sort of like, auto-syncing to some crazy backtrack beat. That's a very different thing. Because when I think out of many, and I've met a lot of entertainers over the years, and one of the things that the ones that rise to the top that end up doing really well understand the lyricism in a song, understand delivery, understand that a lot of these songs are really telling little stories. It's a form of acting, and you have mastered that ability to take these songs and really make them your own, even though a lot of the time you're doing it in the style of some of these people that you yourself idolized and grown up and even have known occasionally over the years, correct?
Yes, that's true, and that's, you and I've talked about that, because you know, I have, you know, entered into that world of tribute artists impersonating, but you know, even impersonators that are strictly impersonators, most of them will admit they want to find their own voice. And sometimes they get boxed into that, and I have fought against that. I like tipping my hat to, like Sammy Davis. I think it's fun. I, you know, do it here and there, but I love to find out who I am within those great tunes. What does my voice sound like? What do I have to say with that song? And that's just a constant work in progress, especially when you've spent so much time listening to those great people. You can't help but be influenced by how, you know, how they, you know, interpreted the lyric, how they put it forth. So it gets in your head. I mean, Sinatra is one of the most incredible song stylists, so that when you hear him, you know that's Frank. So if you listen to Frank a lot as a singer, as a vocalist, it's only natural you're going to probably almost subconsciously sound or try to sound like him. But Tony Bennett said it best. He said, in reference to singers trying to sound like Frank Sinatra, they do themselves an injustice. Rather than trying to sound like him, they should find their own voice within those great songs. So
interesting. So at what point does, when you're listening and over your many years of studying these masters, I guess for lack of a better term, when do you remember when you had the experience that you broke away from just hearing it and then sort of hearing it and processing it and realizing, oh, this is, you know, his treatment of this song has risen above just the quality of his voice. Now we're getting into some type of emotive backstory that he's putting into the song. I mean, does that happen? Is that what you're talking about?
yes, that's a good way to put it. I heard him in a program say once that whenever he would look at a song and look at the lyrics of, you know, that particular song, he wanted to try to, and this was really important, he wanted to try to examine, and I'm paraphrasing, and analyze what he thought that lyricist, the writer of the song, was trying to say, and try to be true to that. And if you've listened to Sinatra, he, more than any artist that I know of, always acknowledged the writer and the arrangers during his live performances. You know, this song is written by Jimmy Van Heusen and arranged by Don
Nelson
Costa,
Riddle
just using
or
that.
whoever he had to put up.
And he did it so eloquently and sincerely, and I'm sure the writers appreciated him. But he wanted to know, he took the time with that song and tried to really be true to the integrity of what that writer was trying to say, and then he tried to produce that. And I would love to say that I do that.
Oh, I think I think you do. I've heard you perform so many times, and I think one of the
if I do, it's by
do,
accident. I don't really.
Do you really think so?
I really do. I don't
just a
study
fluke that these people are like standing up and applauding, like more and more. I mean, you're just so talented. But
thank you, Michael.
But you think it's just. I mean, you're listening to these songs, you perform them so many times. So what's going through your head?
Well, let me put it this way. Here's another way to approach it. Think about this. Frank Sinatra would get, let's say, a song presented to him. He's not, and an arrangement. Now, maybe he heard another artist produce their particular version of that song in some cases, but if I'm not mistaken, when he was really on top, he started out early in his career, then for one reason or another, things kind of went away for him. You know, he really went down. Then when he came back bigger than ever, he was all the new songs that were being written, if I'm not mistaken about this, I don't think I am, but so when they were going to present a song to any particular artist, they would pick Sinatra because he was at the top of the game. He had no reference point on hearing that song. So he had total creativity and the arrangers that he was presented with to produce that song. He had no reference point for that song. So he had to create it. Well, I'm listening to his creation. Now I'm going to do the song, And it's hard to get away from what he did.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that I'd want to, because how can you improve on? I've heard some artists say, like, for example, "I've Got You Under My Skin," and it's the Nelson Riddle arrangement, and I've heard some today top artists that sing that genre, that style of music, and they sound great, but I'm like, but you and they're trying. I can tell they're trying to do something unique with it, and I think that's good. It's cool, but I'm like, I almost want to say, don't do that. Stay true. Just use your voice and stay true to that original form that he did. Because how do you improve on that? I just don't think you can.
Well, it's funny. I should say that, because there are sometimes recordings that are released by. It seems also that often. You'll find vocalists that as they get at a certain point in their life and their career, they suddenly put out an album of old standards. Great American Songbook covers. Rod Stewart has done it. Annie Lennox just did it recently.
Yes.
Natalie Cole was one of the first. God rest her soul. She was great. She did an homage to her father. Linda Ronstadt, on and on and on.
Yes.
And they seem to get a certain point, and they're like, now I'm going to put out these wonderful standards, and they give their own treatment to them.
Yes.
Sometimes they don't necessarily work so well, though, because they're trying to make them so. They're trying to, I guess, make them so unique that I sometimes like, why even bother to because it doesn't hit the mark. That's just my opinion. But have you had that experience?
You're kind of saying what I just said.
Yeah,
I think,
exactly.
You know?
Is that what you're talking about?
But someone else might sit down in here among both of us, and maybe these folks here might feel, well, no, I disagree. I think that those particular artists that took those songs and put their own twist on it, I thought it was great. And that's fine, too. That's fine, too. I just happen to love the original artists that made those songs most popular. Natalie Cole, you brought her up. From what I understand, in her career, no album, not one album that she produced did as well as the album that she paid honor to her father, Unforgettable.
Yeah,
I don't know if that was the name of the whole album, but that album sold more for her than anything she did previously. And her approach to his songs, I thought, was done well, because she performed them as herself, but she stayed true, I thought, to the form of the song.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. That was a great album. I think that, I can't believe it was over 25 years ago, I believe, when that first came out. I want to say it was out in 1990, 91. Of course, then she had, which later became semi-controversial, the duet she did with her father, because I think her own mother sued her over that.
Oh,
but I want to get into that hot mess. I got a little crazy over there. But that just sort of underscores the power of that genre of music. That still to this day, that artists will turn back to it and do well. Rod Stewart did very well.
Yes, he did.
I think he has 2 out now like that. Bob Dylan has done a release of standards.
Wow.
You know,
which
pretty wild.
is I think a great thing, to keep those songs alive. Not that they will die; they will not die. But it seems like the music industry, they produce, and then all of a sudden it's like everyone gets bored because. I'm going to get in trouble. There's no substance. And then they have to go back and find the substance again. And then there's a few artists, young. I mean, just give Bruno Mars, John Legend.
They're very strong. They're very strong. They're running for their vocal.
And there's more. And it's not Lady Gaga. I mean, amazing vocalist. But her greatest work to me was when I heard her really sing with Tony Bennett.
And I'm hearing the duets with him,
even the motion picture she just did, Star is Born.
Yep.
Excellent music.
Yeah.
So there are unique moments with today's artists that sing a song with great lyrics and great melodies. It's not just that the American Songbook had the only great songs. I don't believe that, but they set the standard. So just stay true to that, which is write a great lyric, meaningful, and really put some substance into the melody, and you got a great standard.
We're going to talk more about that in a second, because I think it's a very interesting aspect of this conversation. But first, I need to give a call out to one of our sponsors, because it's very important The Residences of Lighthouse Cove, Dewey Beach. Do you like the idea of luxury living? Well, that's exactly what you'll find in the Residences of Lighthouse Cove, Dewey Beach. They feature brand new, beautiful 1, 2, 3, and 4 bedroom luxury condominiums nestled directly next to the bay at 1301 Coastal Highway in Dewey Beach, Delaware. And today, you can check out these stunning condos and the amazing views they offer for yourself. Saturday, June 15th, between 1 and 4 p.m. during the Residences of Lighthouse Cove, Dewey Beach Public Open House. Enter for your chance to win their land and sea giveaway, a golf foursome at Baywoods, or a half-hour fishing trip of $500 value. No purchase necessary. That is today the Residences of Lighthouse Cove, Dewey Beach, folks, located at 1301 Coastal Highway in Dewey Beach. So welcome to luxury living in Dewey Beach. For more information about the Residences of Lighthouse Cove, visit them online at www.theresidencesde.com. They do have amazing views, by the way. And you can go down and check them out between 1 and 4 o'clock. Open house. Bryan, what we were just talking about.
Yes.
So one of the things, I have another radio station, another radio show on a different station that I do every Monday night on 99.1 FM, Radio Rehoboth. Shout out, by the way, to my friends Eddie Sherman and Peggy Rayleigh. Have a jazz show that's going to start there Sunday night. I want people to check that out. But I listen to a lot of new music because I like to populate. I do an hour's worth of song. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, man, when I'm going through new releases and new release radar, some of these tunes, they sound so repetitive, so redundant, and it's the vocals are the same.
I can't do it.
It's the same treatment. It doesn't male, female. It's the exact. They sound like they've been run through the same auto-tune programming. The lyrics are vapid, and I'm like, wow, this is what's being released as new music. I can't get my head around it. I'm like, I'm not going to play this. Now you will find people that rise, cream rises to the top. Mm-hmm. You will find something unique, and that's what makes my playlist.
Yes.
But I think that sounds like that's what you're talking about. So, but is this one of the reasons that you hold true to this genre that you do such justice to when you're performing?
Well, yeah, I just hold true to what I love to sing, and now what happens, because when I do my performances around town and around the shore, I call the show Sinatra to Soul, mm-hmm. because I just came up with that as a way to kind of capsulize, what's going to happen or what people could hopefully try to, and think about what they could expect. So Sinatra, I mean, there's no explanation. Most people recognize, they get a sense of what that means. Soul could be kind of, well, what does he mean by that? And I like that they're like, what does he mean by that? But so what I do under that umbrella of the show title is that gives me the freedom to tip my hat to Motown, which could be called soul.
Sure.
Barry White.
That's definitely soul.
Lou Rawls, Sam Cooke.
Yeah.
Even Tom Jones, even, wherever else I go, but I always come back to Sinatra.
And tell me that full circle journey. Why is it that it brings you back to Sinatra?
Well, he's my favorite.
Uh-huh.
And I always say this to people, if you want to figure out what your real core love of music is, ask yourself this question, because you'll hear people say, I love all kinds of music, and that's cool, and I believe that they believe that. And maybe they couldn't answer this question, which is, if you could only have one artist to listen to, you weren't allowed to listen to anyone else, who would it be? Mm-hmm. And what would your record collection look like? You couldn't listen to anything else. That artist would be the only one you listen to day in, day out, or whenever you decided to listen to music. Who would it be? Who would it be for you?
I can't. I don't know if I can answer that question. I don't know if I can answer that question.
And that would be the case for people. Yeah. For me, Sinatra. Because actually, when I'm at home, mm-hmm. smoking a cigar out on the deck with a nice little cocktail.
Right. Yeah.
As much as I love Motown, as much as I like to hear Tom Jones, great singer, Engelbert Humperdinck, and I will visit those mm-hmm. various artists. Mm-hmm. But generally speaking, ask my wife, who am I probably listening to? Sinatra. Yeah. But that's what I love. I love Tony Bennett.
He was at the top of the pyramid there for you.
Yeah, and I can even say why. Out of all the vocalists, to me, mm-hmm. and from my interpretation and my ear and what I hear, he's the least contrived when he sings a lyric.
Interesting. That's very interesting to hear. Least contrived. I've not heard it put quite that way before. Very interesting. So
It's
how
pure?
Yeah,
It's,
no,
it's
I
believable.
Sure.
It's no
Yeah.
example. Loved his voice. Great, incredible. One of the greatest. Nat King Cole.
Mm-hmm.
But Nat King Cole, if he sang Mona Lisa, Mona Lisa, that's a little contrived, but a
Got it.
beautiful contrivance,
Yeah.
Now, if Sinatra sang that,
Mm-hmm.
Mona Lisa, Mona Lisa, men. Now, I'm not trying to sing like Sinatra.
But it sounds more
I'm
pure,
just
more
straightforward.
fluid.
Just,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
tell the story, bruh.
Interesting. I wish I could remember. I've been looking for, we only got like 5 minutes left, but you're going to stick around for a little bit longer for our Facebook live stream, because I want to finish this conversation. Years ago, I saw it was on some special about Frank Sinatra. Maybe I saw it on YouTube. I can't remember, but it was from a show that Frank Sinatra was in the 60s. It was some variety show. And there's this incredible set. It's in Manhattan, and he's singing this heartbreaking song.
Yeah.
Can't remember the song. What I can remember is the way he sang it. Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking, is this him as a singer? Is this him as the actor? Because he was an incredible actor.
Yes.
When he was given
Yes,
good
he
roles.
was.
And it was such a perfect blending.
Mm-hmm.
To this day, I was just sort of haunted by it. And I keep looking, but now I can't remember the name of the song, but it was a beautiful song
He sang
about,
so many.
it was
Recorded so many.
incredible. So I think, because people will say to me, well, I'm a big Dean Martin fan. People are like, oh, well, I think Dean Martin was a better vocalist than Frank Sinatra. And people to this day will still get in these debates. But
Sure, they do.
you're going with Frank.
But that's the beauty of music. I mean, everyone, and there's no right or wrong. It's just it's people's preference and taste. So like Tony Bennett, I hear that too, as you're pointing out, his vocal ability versus Sinatra's. A lot of people say, "Oh, Tony Bennett he was much better." I don't think it's about who's better. I really don't.
Well, he's still alive, which is good. He's
awesome.
still
I mean,
performing. He's
I
outbeat
love
all
Tony
of them.
Bennett.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a different paint stroke. It's a
Yeah.
different artist putting forth. So I want to backtrack on what I said about Nat King Cole, because unless someone's out there, I can't believe that he said that about Nat King Cole.
This Nat
Let
King
me
Cole.
make it clear. I think Nat King Cole was incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Beyond. I just, from an artist's choice, prefer to hear a vocalist, and yet I love to hear Nat King Cole.
Yeah.
But my favorite is when I hear a vocalist just sing the song. A female vocalist example, probably this one I'm about to mention, most people have never heard of.
Hold on 1 second. That's about all we have time left for. You're going to stick around. We're going to stay on our Facebook live stream on Facebook.com, Coastal AE. We go like 60 seconds left. I want to thank everyone for listening today. Bryan, your next show is at Cuvée Ray. It's your first time there. Cuvée Ray is at 236 Rehoboth Avenue, right here in
Yes.
Rehoboth Beach, and that is from 8 to 10 o'clock. It's an event. It's a dinner and a show, which I've seen you do. Phenomenal experience. I highly suggest people contact them soon, because
Yes.
your ticket's going to sell out. Everyone stick around on Facebook. We're going to finish this conversation with Bryan Clark. We have two very interesting authors and illustrator coming up. I'm really glad you guys are with me today. I've had a great time here on Coastal E. I'm your host, Michael Sprouse. Do something great this week. Have a great week, and I will talk to you next week here on the air. Right. Hey, there we are. We're back now. It's a Facebook Live where you didn't realize that we were streaming this all the time before.
I didn't know we were on camera. I'm scared now.
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
You're
man.
like, here
This
we
is
go.
rough now.
Floating around. No, it's great. It's great. So here's how it works. I'll put it out there anyway for future reference. So we do, the first hour is we're on the air live on Coastal E on Delaware 105.9 FM and Facebook Live. And then we do an hour of just our Facebook live stream, which is what we're doing right now.
Okay.
So, people are they can watch, they can comment, it stays up for a while.
Okay.
It's all good stuff. So before we ran out of time, it's funny, you're like, I told you I wouldn't know what to talk
I
about.
didn't have anything to say. I don't have anything to
I'm
say.
like, you don't worry about it, man. You're going to be great. You were about to mention a female vocalist who
Yes.
you were very, very taken with, who you think was really phenomenal.
You got it. and she's well known probably for, or well known in the quote unquote jazz enthusiast, maybe the way to say it. Those that are really committed to jazz, man. I mean real jazz, not smooth jazz, but real jazz. Miles Davis jazz.
Yeah, there
okay?
you go. John
Shirley
Coltrane jazz.
Horn.
Shirley Horn, yeah.
She
Yeah,
just
she's got a great voice.
now, okay, a contemporary female vocalist, very talented. I think she's been influenced. I don't know this for a fact. I've never read about her. Diana Krall.
Oh yeah, huge fan of Diana.
I have a feeling she's been very influenced by Shirley Horn just by some things that she does vocally. And she's a pianist, as Shirley Horn was as well. You know,
She's married to Elvis Costello.
that's right. That's right.
He's a equally brilliant musician.
Yeah.
Who's not from a jazz background, actually.
Right.
And she is.
He's. You know, I
Yeah.
can't say that I've heard him a lot. I can't even think of a song right now, and it may be terrible.
I bet yeah. Well, Allison was a big hit of his when he first came out. That was a great song. I think he first hit around internationally in like '79, in the late '70s, and he had a sort of a string. I was really into that sort of new English music revolution in the late '70s with the punk scene and all of that.
Okay.
And he was sort of early punk, though he wasn't quite a punk artist, but he had a lot. You would probably recognize. He's been around for years.
It's possible I'd hear the song. Oh, I remember
I'm like,
that
oh,
song,
I know
but
that
I
song.
didn't relate
Yeah,
it to him.
Exactly. Yeah. He was a very talented artist. Well, I think but I'm a big fan of the Great American Songbook and true jazz, as you mentioned, and vocalists, male and female. And and now as I lose my voice here, I agree. I think a lot of it is in the phraseology, the delivery. That's such an important aspect of songs. And I think, and I could be totally wrong about this. This is my opinion. I don't watch a lot of shows like America's Got Talent and American Idol because I find it so frustrating and smoke and mirror-esque. And I think the big takeaway message there is, well, if you're a good singer, then you can, that's all it takes. And it's much more than that, in my opinion. You know,
Yes.
to be a good singer, you can have a strong voice, but if you're going to sit there and crank out the same copy of everyone else's work, you're going to be forgotten in 15 minutes, you know.
And the few times I've watched those shows, and you can hear some amazing artists, no question. One of the things I wonder about is, as those artists that, as you mentioned, cream rises to the top. So and then they narrow it down and they have a winner, or even if the person doesn't go all the way, but they get noticed, and some of those have went on to get have record deals and so forth. How much control do they lose as to the product that they produce?
Correct, yeah.
And how they're groomed by the record company for the priorities of that record company to make the money that they want to make. How many of those artists eventually get frustrated because they lose themselves, or they were on that journey to find themselves as an artist, to find authenticity, and we get away from that because people put so many things on us, because this is how we want to package you, because this is what's going to sell, and that's what's important. And I think a lot of artists get frustrated under that structure.
I agree with that. Well, I also think that a lot of people, especially younger talent, they're enamored with the idea of being a celebrity, not necessarily someone that wants to find their own voice and their talent and any of those things. That's more about, I want to be a star, and this is how I'm going to do it, because they've fallen into this, smokehouse type of funland version of where actual hard work, which is what it is, isn't part of that equation.
Right.
We'll become stars because we get famous on this TV show. We'll sing 15 parts of 15 songs and that's it. And like, that is not reality.
Yes.
And I've been in the arts my entire career, one way or the other, working in all different varieties. And it is work. You work. I know you know this more than most people, because you've been doing the same thing since you were, young. You're a young man. You went out west and did the Vegas and everything. And you've seen and done so much of it, and you have to constantly work. It's not something that just drops into your lap. It's not something that you wake up one day with a record contract shoved under your pillow. You know, I mean, you have to, really get out there and even when you think I've fallen off this horse so many times.
And I think the ones that the higher the level of success, the more is required of discipline. And possibly many that unfortunately, even though they acquired great success if you want to judge success as far as standards of money and how many cars they had or this and that, but the old saying, to whom much is given, much is required. And like you speak about the work ethic and being an artist, and I agree with you. I think the inner work, because when I started out my career, I was thinking more along the lines of, I want to be a star. I just want to be popular and get on the biggest stages possible. But as I've gotten older and that didn't happen, and the work I'm doing now, of course I look around and I go, man, I wish I were further along in my career. But at the same time, I believe things happen for a reason. And what am I doing with my present level? Am I growing as a person, as an individual, as an artist? Because I think they go hand in hand. And am I stripping away those contrivances? That seems to be the word of the day I keep coming up with it. I don't know if that's proper.
I like that one. It's a good one.
And finding that true self, which produces true art. Hey, true self.
There you go, Brian. You got a new T-shirt phrase. You're gonna get out there and trademark that immediately.
Know thyself.
That's all right.
Then you will know thy art.
True. But there are. I mean, obviously there are people that have been in the right place at the right time, for their career, and have done incredibly well, and just happen to have exceptional talent. I mean, sometimes I think about whether you like the music or not, but the Beatles. Let's just talk about John Lennon, Ringo, Paul, George Harrison, Paul McCartney. All just happened to be in the same working class neighborhood in the late 50s, early 60s. Kids that got it with this amazing talent that truly changed contemporary at that time in ways that to this day, that had that not occurred, we're like, what are the chances of this level of talent coming together at this particular time? It's uncanny. However, Frank Sinatra got his start, which I believe he started playing at little, clubs in Hoboken and around Jersey, and there were some maid guys who were like, hey, you're pretty good, kid. I'm going to give you a gig over here. That stuff happened back then at the beginning of his career. The next thing you know, it's, the late 30s, early 40s, and he's got, people are crazy about him, and the whole Bobby, that whole started. Right place, right time type of thing.
And in those right place, right time, it's funny because we know countless stories of talking in the realm of entertainers, right place, right time. Even though they were in the right place, right at the right time, they paid some dues to get to that right place, right time.
Yeah.
But then levels of success that occurred, they weren't ready for it because their personal lives suffered.
Yeah, well, Amy Winehouse is a great example of that.
It's rather than growing into that level of success. And again, I'm going to say again, I think we miss the fact that, you hear the term overnight success. I don't think there's any such thing.
I don't either.
There's work, and then right place, right time.
Yeah.
But then you're launched into a level where there's a saying, your talent can take you places that your character can't keep you. If the character and the inner person is not growing with the open doors of that talent, it can crush you. So I say now at my old age now, because I'm an old man, Lord, don't give me anything that's going to kill me. Don't give me anything that's going to make me forget about you. Help me to grow and handle the success that, as you see fit, that I'm able to handle. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
Whereas years ago, I was thinking, give it to me, man. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Let's go. So.
But you have, I mean, we've had this conversation more than one time, but there's hardly anyone that I can't mention when I'm in a conversation. Oh, I got Brian. Oh, Bryan Clark. I love Bryan Clark. Other people, that seems to be the normal response I get from people when I mention your name. which tells me
It's beautiful to hear.
Well, no,
Thank
it's
you.
great. You have a huge following. I mean, people you're known and respected, and your talent. It's not, oh, who is that again? Oh, yeah, so that's a different plateau for you. I mean, I think one of the things that you do is so unique around here, and you just have this hardcore base of fans because you always put on such a good show. I've never heard anyone say, "Oh, I was there. He just wrote it in and it was forgettable." That doesn't happen. when you're
Well,
on
you know,
stage.
I tell you what, that's very nice, very nice. I have my off nights.
I mean, everybody
and
does,
we
but
all do.
you
And
know.
I'm sure there's some people out there that have seen me and they have said, "I'm not going back."
Mm-hmm.
And Sammy Davis once said, "Not everyone's going to love your performance." He said, "Not everyone's," and it's true.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "But man, don't ever let him walk away saying he didn't try or he wasn't really putting his heart into it." So, and that's truly something. Yes, I like to try to make that effort, but at the same time, there's moments where my heart's not into it because I'm human, you know.
Sure.
But I'm appreciative of hearing what you just said, without question. Without people, without last night at Irish Eyes, we had a nice turnout. My beautiful wife Dina was there dancing,
Yeah, right on. Hey, Dina, there she is over here.
and she's quiet. She doesn't want. You want to say anything on this?
She's been very
Put that camera on her.
That's
No,
right.
She's gorgeous. And so, and the people were, you know, and there's, and everyone, if there's any other entertainers listening, and you're a performer, you know, because we're human, at times it's easy to forget that you need that audience. They're your lifeline. They're the lifeline of your business. And yes, it becomes overwhelming at times because your energy is limited. And there's only
Correct.
so many
Yeah.
pieces of you.
Yeah, yeah.
But when I'm at that place where I'm like, I don't know if I can talk to anyone else, I try to remind myself, thank God you have someone to talk to. Because I remember times when I would do a show, 1, 2, 3 tables.
Yeah.
And I remember how I felt so like...
That's when you really got to make it seem legit.
Oh, my God. I
Right.
got it.
All right, I'm going to do this number, then I'm out of here, folks. We all want to go home. No, I hear you. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. But that falls under that, you know, I mean, sometimes when I've been in, you and I have both been in positions where you're just on, and there are people everywhere, and you've got to, like, you know, keep things moving.
I can
and
see how...
you know...
how you were making this point a while ago, how whether it be the Beatles, Sinatra, the work, then the right place, right time, all of a sudden this supersonic success and exposure. Now you can't go out to a restaurant.
Yeah, things. Yeah,
Your family, your personal life is exposed to all of it, and
especially now,
What?
more so than I would imagine ever before. That would be an odd thing. But at the same time, you end up saying, "Well, this is what I asked for to happen." You know, I'm
careful what you ask
Yeah,
for.
that there's a big element of that in any
Yes.
type of success at all. You can't. I mean, a person can, but if you start saying, "Oh, whoa, this is too much," I didn't mind. Oh.
Yes.
You have to really fine tune. You know, that's the price of fame.
it's a balance.
as they say. You
It's
know?
a balance in there.
Well, listen, my friend, I really appreciate you staying around, coming on the air. You're just an amazing talent, and
Thank you, Michael.
I
Thanks
really
for
want-
inviting me.
Hey, we'll do it again. We always
Okay,
have a good
buddy.
time. As I said, I'm like, oh man, we'll have all types of stuff to talk about, and I really do think that people really are interested in hearing your take on what you do and hearing your backstory. You have a fascinating backstory, which we really didn't discuss today, but. You know, I would love to sit down one time and just talk about all your experiences.
Sure.
You know,
Sure. I would
in the years
welcome
of
that.
doing, and you still have a lot ahead, career-wise.
Lord
So,
willing.
you know,
Lord
you're
willing.
not as old as you make everyone think.
Yeah. Well, that's because I dyed my hair just recently. In case
I think,
you think, oh, he's
we're
not
like
that old.
we're
Oh,
like
yes,
right
I
around
am.
the
You
same
would-
age. I'm like, man, you're pretty young. Don't give me that, but I understand. Sometimes you just feel like, oh my God, if I have to get up and do this again.
It's been good. It's been good.
Well, I really appreciate it. And so, listen, for anyone that's online or that may be listening to this before your show, your next show, it's a Cuvée Ray Wine Bar right up the street.
Well, yeah, I'll be at Fager's Island
Oh,
tomorrow
okay.
night, and then Nalu
right over in Wilmington
Dewey.
Avenue, right? Oh, and Dewey, that's
yes,
right.
Yes,
Yeah.
in Dewey, that location, and then Thursday at Cuvée Ray. I just
Excellent.
mentioned Cuvée because of Rehoboth.
Yeah, well,
I thought
he's
of
also one of our sponsors, so I like to give them
Awesome.
a nice
Awesome.
sponsor shout out. And that's a great place.
We ate there just the
yeah, you were raving about it.
other night, early evening, and awesome, incredible atmosphere, great service, great food. I'm not just saying that. Get the pork chop. What was it, Dean? It was bone-in pork chop. It was incredible. The presentation is unbelievable. The chef there, I'm not sure of his name. What is it? Joe. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, honey.
Yeah.
Joe Churchman.
Joe Churchman.
Joe, my
Great guy.
friend, I've never met you. Buddy, let me tell you something, man. You can cook me a pork chop anytime, brother.
Hey, there you
Thank
go.
you so much.
Right on. Shout out to Joe from Cuvée Ray. Well, I appreciate it. So tickets are $39. You can
Yes.
probably get them on their website.
And unique. Most of the places I sing, I'm singing while people are being served dinner
Mm-hmm.
and dinner's happening, and so on. This is really treated like a dinner show, a supper club, the way it should be.
Yeah,
Dinner is
yeah.
served first, then the lights come down. I'll do a show, take an intermission. During intermission, they're going to serve dessert, and I'll come back and do the
It's
last
a lovely experience.
show. So see,
Very
this
nice,
is a
very
Las
nice.
Vegas
Oh
moment.
yeah.
You
So
wanna
it's definitely
come.
it's a good thing. It's great food, great entertainment. The last time I was one of the events there was Libby York, who is a phenomenal vocalist.
Oh no.
Phenomenal vocalist, and she was down from New York, Libby York from New York, and she did
Wow.
the same thing there, and it was a great time. So
And her first name's Libby.
Libby York, yep,
Okay.
yeah, phenomenal jazz, American standards.
Got to check
right up
that
your
out.
alley.
I'll
Check it
go
out.
online and see.
Absolutely,
I'm sure she has
she'll be glad you
something
did.
listed.
Shout out to Libby York, she's phenomenal.
Libby.
Yeah, she's great. All right, my friend. Listen, I'm going to get Patrick Conlon in here and Marilyn Hart, Marcella. This is when I don't wear my reading glasses. This is what happens. So we're going to talk
How
a
long
little
have
bit.
you been back there?
They've been floating around for a little bit. They've been very patient.
Wow.
Yeah, very patient. So we have some members from the writing community
Oh my.
are going to get on here and chat up
Awesome.
a little bit. So I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, man.
So
Thank
all right,
you.
hey, my pleasure, man. I've always a good time. We'll be in touch soon.
We'll do it.
I may have to throw you my Monday night show.
Pardon me?
I may have to get you on the air on Monday night on my
Nighttime
different radio
better
show.
for me.
Yeah,
'cause I'm
So
here
think
right now,
about
but I'm not really here.
You're just floating around.
Yeah, Monday nights are good.
Right
We
on.
can do
I'll
that.
be in touch.
All right, buddy.
And I
Thank you.
I play music for an hour too. So let me
Oh.
figure that out.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds
All right.
good.
All right. Dean, it was good seeing you again. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Mike.
I'll talk to you soon. Thank you, my friends.